Welcome to the RPGamer review of Off. This is read by Press, written by Dalendar, and the video is edited by Erfrog. Mortis Ghost Off present a surreal world that take abstract philosophy and touching story, all while warping it into a dreamlike turn-based RPG. FamGamer has helped remake this influential title to be more accessible to modern masses by releasing it on official platforms. The process does leave a few presentation elements feeling hollow. To its core ideal still shine through for an immensely thought-provoking title. Off follow the entity known as Batter, who is aware that they exist outside their reality. The player inputs a name to introduce themselves to the batter, and a bit of fourth wall breaking that happened a few times along this journey. The batter and player then meet the judge, a verbose and philosophical cat who quickly agree to assist the batter in fulfilling their sacred duty to purify the world. This drive for purification leads the batter from one colorful zone to the next, all bat and a eye-catching hue such as neon green or magenta. These zones are defended by servants of the Queen, who will very much like to preserve the statu quo. However, the statu quo is far from the utopia she proclaims, as players slowly uncover its fundamentally unnerving nature. Off as a way to constantly put the player on edge by visual storytelling, character philosophy, or musical accompaniment, with a sense of wrongness that only deepens as the plot unfolds. The player is a passive guest on this journey, as every accomplishment comes from the batter's sole purpose to purify things as they see fit. Outside of the judge, none of the characters directly interact with the player. Among the other characters are the Elsen, a race of beings that look like tired businessmen. While some are frightened, others are hyper-aggressive as they begin to act out various stages of mental illness stemming from their living conditions. Compounding the Elsen's troubles are spectres, beings that have recently appeared and simply try to kill the Elsen and the batter. This stresses the Elsen out, and when they snap, they turn into burnt, who attack on sight. While some of the situation the batter explores offer a reflection on the human condition through the treatment of the Elsen, the batter feels nothing. As a relentless machine of purpose, purifying everything nearby regardless of the praise or consternation of the residents. Things are never quite as they seem and Off. Starting with the player lack of knowledge and the batter lack of caring, every interaction adds a bit to this surreal tableau. This web of knowledge is reflected by the overall hub that connects each zone to another. The green connections spreading from a centralized red point. It can feel easy to get lost in the analogies and subtext that the visual and dialogue brings, but the threads begin to make sense as the plot progresses. This dreamlike state is enhanced by the remade soundtrack. The music to each area has hollowness that evokes a sense that the somber dreams can shift to a nightmare at any moment. However, the soundtrack lacks gears to progress through, and its constant nature makes it feel like nihilist overrides any other potential themes. The original soundtrack displays a lot more expression, creating a more complex read into the surrealist visual and story themes at work. While the new soundtrack perfectly captures the overt themes, it leaves a lot of subtext behind, and the doubling down on despair leaves a hole in the presentation. The turn-based combat of Off is possible, never losing its visual charm but not adding anything exceptional to the experience. Fighting is more measured in its approach, as in the original there were health total that reach in excess of 1,000, but here maximum HP for the party and the endgame is only a few hundred, with battle lasting up to at most a minute or two. This in turn makes buffs and debuffs such as poisoning enemies harder to exploit as they are balanced and a way to not end boss fight quickly. Random encounters feel like they chip away at resources and attributes until making it to the next checkpoint. These always feel earned, and without a reliable option to flee, also make them worthwhile. Luckily, there are a decent amount of collectible healing items that come from rewards to combat that make treks between save points less perilous. The battler gains 3 companions called add-ons over the course of the game. Each of them is a machine-like ring that does not speak, named after the letter of the Greek alphabet, Alpha, Omega, and Epsilon. Each member fit into a different combat role. Alpha is the secondary damage dealer, Omega cures status ailment, and Epsilon buff the party. When all are together, fights are more enjoyable. The active time combat system sees enemies getting more turns but hitting considerably less hard than the player. There's never a moment when the regular enemies feel like they could defeat the party unexpectedly, but skill are needed to avoid taking damage and surviving over the long haul. Party strength is never overpowering, even with grinding, so this tension of slowly losing health and magic never goes away. This means whether it is from replenish at a save point or using a consumable, some forethought is needed to keep progressing through the zones. Some backtracking is needed, as clue for the numerous puzzles that block progress can often be found in a prior area. Luckily, the random encounter rate is generous, and it's rewarding to come across the outlandish and enjoyable design of enemies that are only found in specific places within a zone. Basic shapes for the Spectre and Burn duplicate, but there are little pencil line detail on each Endra variation that are quite eye-catching to behold as. For example, Spectres has differing symbols for eyes that dictate which debuff they will be able to employ. The remake also adds 6 new bosses, which are tucked away without any hint to their location. However, the new bosses fit perfectly with the game and provide exhilarating challenge with new mechanics. The puzzle of Off typically involve tasks such as hitting block in a specific order or inputting a code by piecing together the other visual clues in the background or reading books. These answers are not always readily deciphered, which encourage exploring everywhere and paying attention to everything found, and players may need to note certain clues down themselves. Clues are presented in a very interesting manner, utilizing a different visual medium such as torn and fade book pages, hastily crayon-colored art pages, and newspaper clipping style instruction manuals, which make reading everything a joyous occasion. Puzzle difficulty can vary between easy to figure out to having to meticulously search for clues everywhere until the answer is deciphered. Mixed in with these puzzles are the occasional minigames that change up the gameplay and art style from the norm and always provide a fun distraction. Off is visually stunning in its simplicity. Despite utilizing a dreamlike abstract surrealist, everything is created with a keen eye for detail, making everything feel distinct. The stylistic usage of pencil work to pop outlines as everything is detailed in thick black lines. Background utilize bright colors, and Off combines these with an absence of color to accentuate the character that pop out with their deliberate and draw style that ensure they stand out. There's something magical in the way the surrealist imagery matches with the varying Endra art pieces and enemy design, which mesh wonderfully with the dialogue and musical accompaniments. Off feel like a truly artistic expression that could only be conveyed in a video game. Off is an unnerving dream that steeps one foot into a fever-soaked nightmare. This surrealist approach makes it a truly trend-setting experience with all the characters, story, and visual presentation melt into a highly artistic personal journey that is not like anything else. Combat is always serviceable, and the new balanced approach to buff and debuffs allow the extra time for deciphering puzzle clues, making them less frustrating to deal with. The nuanced layers added from the original soundtrack are definitely missed, but the muted melancholy the new soundtrack provides is still a trip to experience. If surrealist mixed with an uncanny sense of wrongness sound enticing, then Off will not disappoint. RPGamer give Off 4 out of 5. For more detail, hit up the link in the description below. For more video content, subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Twitch for daily stream of your favorite RPGs. Join on the discussion at rpgamer.com on Discord. And for the latest in the RPG news, head over to rpgamer.com.